Hi everyone, welcome to the Halftime Team Talk podcast. I'm here with Suki, give him a wave.
Right, boys.
Alex.
Oh, I've waved too early. Hello, boys.
and Aiden.
All right.
How are you boys doing? How's quarantine treating you?
I'm fucking loving Aiden's enthusiasm just right off the bat.
He's on it today. He's actually on it today.
Bored of quarantine already. Just
already.
Just
mate, you sounded fucking bored of life already.
want to go out and play some football.
Oh,
yes,
stuck
we need to do that. We
Yeah.
absolutely need to do that. Suki, how are you doing?
Not too bad, mate. My exams just finished yesterday, so like I feel pretty good. Like I can actually just go out and just do whatever I want. Well, not go out, but you know.
Yeah, don't go out.
So,
That's a warning for everyone. Don't. Well, you can, but according to guidelines.
meters.
So let's talk football. Have you guys heard anything recently that you guys want to bring up in the news regarding transfers, regarding football generally? Anything you guys want to lead with?
Yeah,
I'm
Timo
gonna
Werner.
Yeah, go
That's
on.
the obvious one.
Let's lead with Timo Werner. Go on, Aiden. You brought it up.
Hijacked him from under Liverpool's nose.
Yeah.
Jurgen Klopp FaceTimed him about 4 times, only to have Frank Lampard come in and steal him.
Yeah, well, maybe he's looking at that young player vision. That's what he's got in mind. Yeah, if we like, how do you think Corona is kind of affecting the landscape of football right now? Do you think, like?
Well, that's an example. Liverpool couldn't afford. They didn't want to pay as much for his buyout clause because of coronavirus, whereas Chelsea clearly don't care. So, but the transfer market's definitely going to be like badly affected.
Yeah,
There's meant to be loads of swap deals.
Yeah, I was going to say the other thing that like I think not a lot of people are focusing on at the minute is like the physical aspect, as in like getting physical medical checks. Like for clubs, it's going to be really hard to like get the player into the building before. Like obviously, I follow the NFL a lot, and they're having like mad troubles with that. Like getting people to pass their physicals before they get signed. So people with like injury history and issues are like going to get absolutely done over in the this window. I think
that is going to be problematic. I actually heard something about like for footballers especially. I don't know. I think they should do this in the NFL. I think where they do a lot of like massage therapy and like stuff like ice baths and stuff like generally stuff that you need contact with people. When that starts when that's going to affect them as well.
Because recently it was interesting. Arteta and one of the big NFL coaches, Sean McVay, they had like a bunch of Zoom conferences and shit talking about like how coaching and like physiotherapy was going to like develop in the age of Corona, which is really interesting because there's going to be like so many sports that are having the exact same issues where like there's obviously going to be a lot of like similar solutions to problems and similar problems. So I think that's something that's like really interesting to look at.
Yeah, definitely. So we're kind of going to focus today's podcast on transfers because, again, that's going to be a big thing. Like we said, there's going to be swap deals. Teams aren't going to be able to afford players. Teams are going to lose their kind of bargaining position, especially if they've just got to start earning money. I know, obviously, like League One's shut, so they're going to have slightly worse problems than everyone else. So we're going to focus on the Prem. Today, maybe we'll start branching out in later episodes, but today we're going to talk about the Prem. And what we're going to do is we're going to structure it that we go from the top 6 teams in the Championship. So we talk about their promotion, talk about if they want to go up next season maybe. We talk about the teams in the Prem and kind of what they need. Obviously, I've allocated you guys your bit, so we'll start off with the top 6 in the Championship. Aiden and Alex, take us away.
Yeah, right. So obviously, there's 9 games left when we come back. First game, June 20th. And to be honest, I'm just looking at like at the minute what teams have what I would call like a Premier League roster or a Premier League quality team.
Yeah.
And then like probably teams that can make a push next year for playoffs. Teams that are probably not like just a level away. Yeah. And obviously Baggies and Leeds are running away with the automatics at the minute. Yeah. And like I think you look at their teams and they're maybe like a couple of pieces off, especially Baggies. Like you look at both of their like rooms up front. I mean, our top striker is Hal Robson-Cardo, who like I love, but like you know, he had the moment for Wales in the World Cup, and like I mean, he's been alright. He's good at like he's done a lot more than I'd have expected, but you know, Charlie Austin's probably not quite there. Interestingly, I saw the big rumour at the minute that both Leeds and Baggies are chasing after this Argentinian international. He's 21 and his nickname is the Tank, which I fucking love.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's brilliant. That is brilliant.
Yeah, he's played like 27 senior games and he's already got an international appearance for Argentina.
Oh, wow.
So and his buyout clause is like 12 mil.
Who does he play for? Is he playing the Argentina?
San Lorenzo.
Oh, okay.
His name's Giacchi, something like that.
Yeah,
you guys
I'll put that up in the description. We'll look it up. I'll whack that in the description.
I mean, he looks like a fucking beast. Like he like he's probably, you know, just a massive guy, big target man.
Yeah.
Not a great goal scoring record, like at a lower level of competition, but like one of those guys you could like a Graziano Pella type that's like played a sort of lower competition of foreign football that you could like hope to take that step up at the Prem level.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think like the biggest, obviously I'm a Baggers fan, and the biggest problem for us at the minute is that like arguably our three best players this season have been on loan. Krovinovic, Pereira, and Diangana, and obviously West Ham are going to be, like we'll talk about soon, looking to take that step up, and Diangana is someone that can help them do that. So it's probably unlikely that we get him back.
Okay.
Krovinovic is like, there's a lot of talk about him. I think he's on loan from Benfica, who are looking to like get rid of a load of players because they're in a bunch of financial trouble at the minute. So it would be good to have that like extra man in midfield who we've like kind of struggled with all season, especially because fucking shout out Chris Brunt, the fucking legend that he is.
Yeah,
retiring.
That's how you can have your moment now, Alex.
Oh my god! Don't give me too long because I'm gonna start crying on the podcast, man.
Man.
Literally, he is just my childhood of West Brom. 13 years serving at the club, legend, best left foot in the game. Fight me. Messi getting fucked. Chris Brunt's left foot.
Yeah, that's how you know we're well informed. Messi get fucked. Chris Brunt. Here we go.
Mate,
insightful.
Isn't he in like top 10 assists this decade for the Premier League?
For this decade, right? So he played 9 seasons in the Prem, and he's top 10 in assists.
That is very, very good. That is incredible.
Me and Aiden were talking about this. If the Prem bring in a Hall of Fame, like a kind of like NFL,
like,
NBA,
NBA,
my fucking fringe candidate would be Chris Brunt, the best left foot to play in the Premier League this decade. Find me, absolutely.
Okay.
I'll take that.
He's announced that he's moving on, which is brought a little tear to my eye.
For sure.
Okay. Have you guys got a bit more about the other teams in the Championship? Leeds.
So
Leeds are going to need a new keeper in all likelihood because their keeper's on loan, I think. Andy had the little racism incident which got him banned, didn't it, for a few months?
Kiko Casir, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't see.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Can't see him staying in England after his loan's finished. So supposedly they're looking at Premier League keepers, but Joe Hart, anyone? You know, he could revive his career at Leeds.
I mean, to be fair, I think there's a pretty good record of teams going up with the Championship keeper and like them taking a step up in the Premier League. Like that, like Tom Heaton kind of role of like a keeper that's good at the Championship and like stays good, like behind a pretty solid defensive team, like Leeds are. But I think their biggest need again, keeper and striker, because like they've got pieces, but I like Pablo Hernandez, who plays on the wing. He's been one of the best players in the Prem this year, and I think they're also looking at a centre back. If you know Daniel Ayala, the Middlesbrough centre back.
Daniel Ayala,
like Championship veteran, like great player, imposing defender, like smart. He'd be a great buy for them. You'd probably get him for like under 10 mil because he's a bit older and like not a great deal of Prem experience.
But he can do a job.
He'd be a good Prem centre back.
Do you guys think that Leeds will be able to retain Calvin Phillips? I've heard a lot of talk linking him away from Leeds.
Yeah, I think it's another one where like similar to Baggies, Leeds have got like because they're not like as talented of a Prem roster. There's a lot of space for younger players to play, like sort of that like role. Like we've had Nathan Ferguson, and a couple of other players like that, like O'Shea. But especially during this like Corona market, it's going to be a lot harder to tempt like players in general, but younger players especially, because it's going to be so hard to adapt players to a system where you've had less training, like and trying to mold a younger player to like a new style of play, like some of the teams would have to. And also like someone like Leeds, like to sell one of their like better up and coming players is like
of the smaller clubs as well, and this like applies to the bottom 6 of the Prem as well. They haven't really like started because of coronavirus. Like transfers haven't really been a thing for them yet. Like normally the transfer market would be in full swing. They haven't really started looking, like scouting, and it's like teams with like hardly any money. They're not going to be able to spend much on players. It's going to be all swap deals.
Yeah, which I think like a lot of teams that go down, whoever ends up going down in the Prem are going to have like big contracts to offload because everyone's losing so much money right now. Everyone's in tough financial situations, especially if you get relegated. So they're going to have to get rid of a lot of like bigger contracts. So like teams that are coming up have got to be looking at like the sort of stars that are too good to play in the Championship from the bottom clubs, and really looking at like who they could trade, who they could give away, like even pieces that are slightly like we talked about.
Okay, I'm having a look at the Championship table, and we've got the 4 teams that are going to go into the playoffs. I want you guys' kind of opinions on who's likely to go up and kind of what they need.
Yeah.
So we've got Fulham, Forest, and Preston.
Yeah, and then I think is Millwall a 7th?
Millwall is in 8th, so Bristol's in 7th.
Yeah. When it's Cardiff, Blackburn. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I think at the minute, obviously, Automatic's looking fairly set. Like, obviously, I'm a Baggies fan. I don't want to touch wood, but like it's looking, unless something horrendous happens, which in fairness, it's Baggies and Leeds, so you never know. But it's looking like those are probably the Automatic, like you said. But I think teams that could make a run, like a Cardiff or a Blackburn, who are like maybe like 6-7 points off, not even that, like 3-4, I think, could like if they
close.
Start putting a couple of games together. They've got like teams that could make a run. I really like Bristol City. I think like teams that are kind of, I don't want to be insulting to like a Preston, who are slightly outplaying their talent level. You could maybe see drop because a lot of it is form and morale, especially in the Championship. Like it's been so tight right now that a lot of like
everyone's quite close.
Yeah,
it's all going to depend on who. It's all going to depend on who comes back fittest, like from the long layoff and the break. As we've seen in the Bundesliga, the teams that have come back like fit have been winning, and the teams that have come back with players a bit on the chubby side have been losing. So
we'll have no body shaming in this podcast, Aidan.
Now that you guys have mentioned quite how close the teams are, I've just kind of got the table up in front of me. So Fulham are on 64 points. So they're 6 points behind Baggies right now. So we'll kind of accept that Leeds and Baggies are to kind of go up. And then we've got Fulham.
Don't say that. Shut up.
Touch wood.
I can say it, you can't.
We've got Fulham on 64, Brentford on 60. Forest on 60, Preston on 56. Then this is where it actually gets close. So you guys are right. So Preston are on 56, Bristol on 55, Millwall and Cardiff are both on 54, and Blackburn and Swansea are both on 53. So actually not very many points separating the teams. So they could make a push yet. 9 games with just a couple of points between teams. So let's move up to the Prem. Let's see what you guys got any thoughts on. So you guys are going to kind of deal with Brighton, West Ham, Watford, Bournemouth, Villa, and Norwich. You guys got any thoughts on what they could do to stay up?
Well, in terms of the teams going down, I'd say Norwich are definitely going down. So
they're like 6 points off, aren't they?
Yeah, and they haven't really shown enough all season. And when they go down, they're most likely to lose at least one of Todd Cantwell or Pukki or
Buendia.
Yeah. One of those two, some of their key players. So they might find it difficult to then come back up the next season, because obviously with the market, that's quite big losses and they won't be able to replace them. What are you going to say, Alex?
I was going to say that I think Villa should probably look to sell all of their players and just field up the 17 for the last couple of games. Like, it's fine.
Definitely.
Don't worry about it, guys. Like, the Championship's a good level of football. You don't got to worry about it. Like, it's all good.
Villa have a good chance of staying up because they've got McGinn back now.
Yeah.
They had some long-term injuries, but they're most likely to. If they go down, they will definitely lose Jack Grealish. No question.
100%.
I can actually see them losing. They could lose Grealish, definitely. I reckon that you could probably lose McGinn to one of the bottom half sides, definitely. You could, and McGinn could definitely be a squad player for the top half sides. You could probably, I could see them losing maybe Mings, maybe one of Mings or I think Engels, and Samata's doing quite well. Maybe he could be a good option for bottom half team. So Villa will get absolutely ripped apart if they go down.
Villa have got quite a tough run as well. They've still got to play Liverpool, Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Wolves. They could very easily go down.
Yeah, it's entirely possible.
Not good for them.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be tough, but like you say, especially with Villa having had a couple of injuries, like rehabbing from those, it's going to be really, really tough without the physiotherapy beside. So even though they're back, they might not be back.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Makes
Which
sense.
is going to be difficult for them, especially because it's a couple of their bigger players.
Yeah. And I'll actually mention Grealish a bit later on because I know he's been heavily linked to United. I don't think they should do that, but I can actually see quite a few teams further up that could do with a player like Jack Grealish, definitely. But let's talk about Bournemouth are in 18. Do you think what do you think about them? Do you think they could go down? Do you think they're likely to go down? They're on 27 points, so actually equal with Watford and West Ham. A couple of places ahead of them. So do you think? But of Bournemouth, Watford, and West Ham, what do you think are the most likely for them to go down?
Bournemouth could definitely go down.
Bournemouth, yeah.
Actually, I think with Watford, one of the key things about them is just how bad their board is. It's just how they're institutionally they're so poorly run. They've had something 8 managers in 9 seasons or something obscene like that. You've got to trust a board like that to come back well after Corona, and that's just not a backroom staff and a club that I trust to make the right decisions coming back off such a crazy time. So I think they maybe could be in some trouble.
And they're actually a team that have got quite a few good assets. They've got Deulofeu, they've got Ismail Assar, who I don't know if you guys watched the game where they beat Liverpool. Love that moment.
He ripped them.
They got ripped apart. He's a very good young player. He's young. I think he's only 21, 22. So Sarr is one of them. And they've got Will Hughes, who I think could go to a bottom half side. Etienne Capoe's doing quite well. Doucouré. They've got players that they will lose if they go down. So Watford could definitely struggle.
I think they'll only struggle though if Deeney decides not to come back and play, because obviously he's been quite hesitant about it. Although I've heard that he might be reassured now. But if Deeney comes back, I can't see them going down. They're too good. Nigel Pearson's got them. They were dead and buried at Christmas, and then Nigel Pearson came in.
He did revive them, to be honest.
Yeah. So if Deeney comes back, they shouldn't go down, especially with the teams around them. They're probably the best quality out of the bottom 6.
Yeah.
West Ham's an interesting one because they made a bunch of good signings recently, but they don't seem to have clicked. They brought in Haller from Frankfurt, and he has played well when I've seen him. He has played well, but I think the problem is when he's playing at Frankfurt next to Jovic, and they're kind of playing as 2 alternating strikers. One drops, one goes forward. The system works. I'm not sure he's cut out to be a lone man as he is at West Ham. And the creativity just isn't working out. Fornals hasn't been that good. Jared Bowen's been decent, having brought him up from Hull. But they are lacking, definitely. And like Alex did mention, Diangana could be a really useful player for them if he comes back. And they have started reinforcing where they need to, because obviously West Ham, they're a decent team going forward. They need to reinforce at the back. They've done their job, kind of. They brought in Susek from, I want to say Spartak Moscow. No, Slavia Prague. That's my bad. Slavia Prague. I believe he was their captain. He's a really good defensive midfielder. They've got Declan Rice, who I believe is slightly overrated. But
he's definitely overrated. He's so
that's just
overrated.
English, isn't he?
Testing the waters there.
Definitely
Declan Rice is he's not the be all and end all DM of the future.
He'll leave if they get relegated, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Ooh. Who's buying him, do you think?
I think one of the bigger clubs will be Declan Rice is cheap.
Really?
I could see maybe a Leicester or a Sheffield, maybe. I mean, they could do.
Oh no, to be fair, you think a Leicester have Oh, the
Ndidi.
But they need backup from because he's injured this season for quite a bit.
Yeah,
and they
that's
kind of
right.
like.
They have got Hamza Chowdhury, to be fair. He's doing a job. He does a job when he comes in. I do reckon Declan Rice could be a player who goes to an Everton and Newcastle, someone who, one of the bottom half teams.
Newcastle are going to be too busy signing Mbappe, man. Come
Yeah.
That's the next team I want.
Get your stuff right, man. Come on.
That's one of the teams I was going to mention next. But quickly to touch on Brighton, they've been a bit poorer than I thought they would be. What do you guys think this season? They've got quality.
I think I just kind of expected them to be where they are, to be honest. I mean, they're Brighton. Like they're not going to push for top.
I'm not going to have that. I'm actually not going to have that disrespect. I mean, I think that they're slightly underperforming. Like,
yeah,
I could have seen them doing a little bit better. Like, they're kind of one of those teams that they've got like a couple of the pieces and a little bit of like the pass success to maybe push a bit more.
The problem with them is they're still reliant on Glenn Murray. He's like, how old is he now? 38? I don't know.
But I mean, like,
quite old.
His track record.
No, I don't think he is actually 38, but like he seems like
he's running to. I think he's into his 30s.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
His track record, like he's just a goal scorer. Like there's some players that just like at all levels will just always score you goals. Like
he always scores against United as well, Glenn Murray.
Yeah.
And Arsenal, to be honest, I've seen him score against Arsenal quite a few times.
I was going to say, you say that like either of those things are impressive, though.
Yeah, true.
Oh my god.
But yeah, they probably would need to replace him going like in the future. But I reckon maybe Glenn Murray's got a season in him left. Maybe a season where you bring in a younger striker and kind of phase him in. But yeah, Brighton, I think they've got the talent to stay up. I don't see them going down. They've got Aaron Moy. They've still got Proper and what's his name? It always slips my mind. The midfielder.
What are you thinking about?
Gross, yeah, Pascal Gross. They've got a good midfield. The Iranian guy, I can't say his name. It's like Jahan Baksh or something. He's always
he's called a bicycle kick or something like that. Isn't it?
Yeah. It's taken him like a half a season to settle, which is fair. He has come from the Eredivisie, but he's kind of settling. And also, I think you guys might have heard of him, Ben White. He was on loan at Leeds. There's been a lot of hype about him.
Yeah.
He's been doing really well. So Ben White, I think they're thinking of bringing him back, and I think that could be a good partnership with Dunk. Dunk's always reliable. Matt Ryan's always reliable. So yeah, Brighton, they look like they maybe could be in the top half of the bottom half. If that makes sense, pushing for like for next season. If they make a couple of the right signings, maybe they could push for 10-9, but that also depends on everyone else around. Okay, let's start moving up. Big talking point, Newcastle. Obviously, we know they're going to sign Mbappe, Messi, Ronaldo, but no. Newcastle's one of those things. The takeover hasn't actually gone through yet, has it? So
no. There's been so many contrasting news reports. One minute the takeover's fully completed 100%. The next minute, it's in doubt. The next minute, oh no, it's going ahead again. I don't know what's happening with that.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird takeover because I believe is he a Saudi prince, Mohammed bin?
He's in like the throne or something like that. Yeah.
I think he's already the head. He's like the.
Is he? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he already runs Saudi Arabia.
So
basically,
he gets about 70% ownership, and then I think Amanda Stavely gets about 10%.
Yeah,
but
it's not technically. It's like he's the head of the investment fund, but it's the investment fund putting forward the 70%.
Yeah,
and that's how they're managing to keep like the degrees of separation, because another Saudi in the same family owns Sheffield United. Not to get into politics, but that's a bit dodgy. If the head of the family owns one club, and also Saudi Arabia are big allies with Man City's owners as well.
Yeah. That's what I've heard. Basically, I just cannot wait for that Newcastle PSG Champions League final, like 4 or 5 years. That's gonna be football.
They hate each other as well.
They hate. The interesting thing about Newcastle, you mentioned PSG as well. If you notice that when teams are taken over from the Middle East, like for example PSG and City are actually really good examples of kind of how it's done really well by City and how it could be done a lot better by PSG. Like PSG. Like their main goal when they had their ownership takeover, when they started getting in the big managers and everything, like no one's looking at PSG going, we expect you to win the league this season. That's your goal. That's a given. That like with PSG, it's kind of pushing for the Champions League, and the fact that they don't make the latter stages is starting to look a bit problematic. And like everyone always blames Neymar because he's off to the carnival, his sister's birthday, all sorts of stuff.
Always his sister's birthday.
Yeah, always his sister's birthday. But the thing is, PSG this season, I think, have really started to. They've made sensible signings, and they've really started to. Oh, my computer's just in a weird thing. Yeah. Okay. They've really started to come into their own. Like they've brought in some really smart signings, like Idrissa Gueye, Sarabia, and obviously they've got Tuchel to bring them together. That's the kind of thing you should be looking to do. Like everyone always does this thing about Newcastle. Oh, they're going to get loads of money, just bring in like Mbappe, which we joke about. But the thing is, you don't want to do things like that because obviously you need a manager who can bring players together like that. I don't expect Steve Bruce to be able to bring in a bunch of like amazing creative talents around Europe and
I genuinely can't wait to say Steve Bruce interacts with Kellen and Mbappe. Oh my god. Just oof it up, pitch lad, and fucking run. I love that, man. Come on.
That would be
it's just the drama of that, which oh god, I just can't wait. Like
supposedly, Steve Bruce's future depends on a good FA Cup run this season, which is problematic because I think they're playing Man City in the FA Cup, his future might be cut short.
I would also just like to, at this point, like completely unrelated to football, but point out that Steve Bruce has an absolutely incredible series of books.
Yeah.
Oh my god. It's like a centre back who's also a super spy, and his name's like
Steve, I think I've heard something about
that.
this.
My god, they are literally
it's amazing.
Funniest things you'll ever read. Oh my god. Like he didn't hire a ghostwriter. It's like off Steve Bruce's noggin. Like you can tell. It's like straight from that like brain.
They go for. I swear they go for thousands of pounds on Amazon.
Yeah, literally.
They're so rare.
Yeah. There was like 500 produced. Like some publisher was like, "Oh yeah, Steve Bruce, but yeah, like an autobiography. Yeah, we'll sign him to that." And then realised he was writing about a super spy. Like,
that's hilarious. We'll make like I'll write that in the description as well.
Copies. Yeah, man.
If you guys want to spend $1,000 on Steve Bruce's,
worth it. Worth every penny.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I was going to say back to the PSG thing. Like, if you look at like Man City, when they get signed, like their most impactful signings then just after the takeover were like the smaller ones. Like you look at like Vincent Kompany, Silva, even Aguero. Like they didn't really spend like crazy money on all of them, and they were like the big signings. That were, like,
to be fair,
that were like
Kompany was before the takeover, I think.
Was it?
Kompany,
that's
just before.
But the thing is, City, like everyone looks at City and everyone obviously praises their kind of transfer dealings, and they should. Like they've done incredibly well. But the thing is, like City have made their mistakes to start off with. When they got taken over, Robinho is a big one. Like they brought in players who, and also they brought in a bunch of players who didn't last. Like Balotelli, he was great, but he wasn't there for too long. But players like Dzeko, they did really well. Aguero's been there for absolutely ages, and one of the greatest strikers in Premier League history.
It's only really the Guardiola era where they suddenly become this. Before they were still signing like Wilfred Bonnet, Scott Sinclair.
I was saying, hands up who remembers the Stefan Jovetic era at Man City.
Oh my
Jovetic.
Jack Rodwell.
Jack Rodwell's a big one.
Oh my god, what a player, what a man.
Yeah, so they've made their mistakes, but like the important thing was bring in a big manager, and then recently as well, like they've brought in big signings. They've spent 50 million and all sorts, and they like their overall spend has been big, but like actually in the grand scheme of things, like bringing in Bernardo Silva for what 40 million or what it was, and Bernardo Silva's been incredible. So I think like players like that, I think Bernardo Silva now, if he was to go somewhere, would demand a fee of 100 million plus easily. So I think like it will take time. Like what's it now? City has like been dominating for the last 3-4 years, so it's been about 10 years.
FFP just won't let Newcastle do what City or PSG did anyway. They can't go out and just splash the cash. I think the owners have said they don't want to do that anyway. Their plan is to go more slowly and focus on like the facilities, youth, build Newcastle
up.
They
definitely should.
But I think the first thing they need to do is get a good manager, Pochettino, and then they're set.
Well, yeah, I was just about to say, like, the Mark Hughes era of Man City, just after the takeover, when they thought they could succeed with Mark Hughes, like, it's not a good look, like, is it? You could, like, as much as I love, like, those, like, hardened, like, English Premier League managers, like, It's just they haven't got that degree of like creative talent, like a Guardiola or even like a Mancini.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's move on from Newcastle. Southampton. I've actually skipped Southampton because I did want to talk about Newcastle there because of their takeover and everything. But Southampton, obviously everyone remembers them for their big like trashing by Leicester. That was fun to watch. But Southampton are actually. I also think they're one of them, the teams who could be a bit higher up than they are. They're 14th currently. They are 7 points out of the relegation zone, but I think like they've got really good players. Like I'm hearing a lot of news recently about Højbjerg. He's only 24. He's got incredible defensive numbers. I've heard they're quite close to Ndidi's, which is like Ndidi's got elite defensive numbers. So you've got Højbjerg, who's done a really good ball progression, really good defensive numbers. They've got good players in amongst them. They need a new striker. Che Adams just hasn't worked out. Ings has been
times. Took him from Birmingham for no reason.
It was like 10 mil as well, wasn't it? That was
he scored like 22 goals for Birmingham as well.
Tragic.
Ings has come into his own, which is really good to see. He's been plagued by injuries, so it's good to see that Ings has come into his own. They've got a good defense, I think. Like Vestergaard has been really good. Bednarek's like kind of improving. They've got Valerie. They've got a decent youngish defense that's coming through. Like I'm not convinced by their keeper. Alex McCarthy's okay, but I think they will need to replace him like in a bit. But they do need a guy going forward. They probably need a bit more creativity, I'd say. But they've got a good manager, so.
Hasenhüttl just signed a new contract as well.
Yeah, exactly. So
like 2024.
Southampton definitely a team that could push a bit further forward. And one thing I should probably mention is like obviously everyone knows that Ligue 1's kind of been closed, and the thing with Ligue 1 is they've kind of got I don't want to call it a double whammy, but let's call it a double whammy. They've kind of got like a thing where like they've not just been hit by coronavirus. They've been they're also like a league which doesn't get huge TV rights as well, so they don't earn that much anyway. But also because of coronavirus, they've shut the league. They're not going to earn much, and teams are really struggling with that. There are teams like, for example, Lyon. They didn't make the Champions League, so they're kicking up a bit of a fuss about that. I know Lyon's president Aulas has been like appealing for them to continue, so they could push for Champions League. So that's the league where you could really start looking for bargains, like maybe mid-table Ligue 1. Yeah,
like the big problem with Ligue 1 at the minute is that like all the players have just had to go back to the farms like for Corona. Like, it's really tough on them. Like, I mean, it is tough. You know what I mean? Like, they're gonna have had months of like physical.
You started
work
so seriously. I thought you were gonna say something.
Yeah, I threw you by saying. I was gonna say you expected some serious analysis there, didn't you?
Oh yeah. No, but some people get a bit annoyed about the Farmers League thing. It is a Farmers League.
It is definitely a Farmers League.
I mean,
whatsoever.
I was gonna say fucking EA Gwyn camp that are like 17th or whatever, who literally have like League 2 level play. Like, I'm not being mean to any EA Gwyn camp fans out there watching right now.
Just in case they're watching.
I was just gonna say, I'm sorry, man. Like, I'll buy you a beer if you're watching. Come England, like we can have a talk about some real football. Like,
yeah. So France is definitely where like there are hidden gems. They've got a bunch of young players. We could definitely pick up on them. But yeah, Southampton. I think next season, if they make a decent striker signing, maybe a couple of creative signings, I reckon Southampton push for maybe top half. Yeah, I reckon Southampton could make top half, definitely.
I think the thing with them was I wasn't following the Prem like crazy closely this season. Obviously, I'm Baggy's fan. They started like terribly, didn't they? They were in
they had an awful
relegation
start.
So I think it's just like just clicked for them. So like
they turned it around.
Yeah, and obviously Hasenhüttl's a big part of that because he's a really, really good manager, and Ings has, I don't know, gone into overdrive, but he's been really good. But moving on to Everton. Everton's an interesting one because they made a huge manager signing recently, Ancelotti, which is like, to be honest, it surprised me because it's not really Ancelotti's kind of team to go for. You usually see him with the Real Madrids, the AC Milan when they were dominating. Even Napoli was quite big. So Ancelotti coming to Everton was kind of a bit is surprising, but obviously a great manager. You kind of expect they'd be able to bring up a smaller team as well. So he's kind of taken over a decent team, definitely. Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin have been really, really good this season. But having said that, going forward, they've been good. At the back, they've been like nothing short of shambolic. They've honestly, so I don't know if you guys watched Everton against Chelsea, where Chelsea beat them 4-0. Mason Holgate, my goodness, he should have retired after that game. That was genuinely one of the worst defensive performances I've seen this season. So Everton definitely a team that they need to sort out their back line. I actually think their left side of their defense is okay. Like Yerry Mina's been decent. Digne has obviously been quite good, like defensively going forward. He's got a good free kick on him. It's the right side they need to kind of maybe sort out a bit. A new centre back, you definitely don't want to be depending on Holgate when you're making push for Europa League. But having said that, I wasn't a big fan of Sidibe. He's on loan from Monaco. I didn't think he was that good when I've watched him a couple of games. But looking at his stats, right, he's on 4 assists, and actually his defensive numbers have been huge this season. Yeah, and he's actually played as a bit of a right mid, and with Coleman behind him. So that's like when he moves into the right back, if they keep him for another season or they buy him, he is 28, but he's got a bit of experience in the Champions League and everything, and he's played well for Everton this season. So I think keep Sidibe, getting a big centre back, or maybe getting a centre back who's performing well. The problem is with centre backs as well. You got your big names going around and everything, but no one picks up so much on the names that don't go around because they don't have amazing like passing numbers. So for example, like obviously when the hype around Harry Maguire started, I know like Harry Maguire is one of those players. He's good, don't get me wrong, but Harry Maguire he's not an 80 million defender at all. That he's obviously got the big English premium on him, and he's like obviously Leicester had a bit of a bargaining possession, but Harry Maguire is one of those players like he had a big hype because he's quite a good long range passer, and like in the modern game, like everyone really wants they really want defenders who can pass out the back, who've got like a ball that can go straight to your wingers, straight to your strikers, that kind of thing. So what we're kind of losing out on nowadays, I feel, is people don't give enough attention to traditional hard-working centre-backs who'll get the ball, get rid of it. Like the kind of guys who you do need.
It depends on your team though, because if you're Burnley, that's quality. But if you're a club that does pass out from the back, you're not going to be able to play that sort of player. True. It'll just mess up the rest of your system. I mean, like with Everton with Ancelotti, they're not going to just want a guy to pump balls out of the back. Yeah. Like it's Carlo Ancelotti. He's going to want his team to play good football.
I was going to say it's like the Ahmed Hagazis of the world. Like they've got a place in the game of football, but like for a high flying like European passing,
not the top anymore.
And
like
European style.
Even like in the past, like Man U had Rio Ferdinand was good at bringing the ball out. Rio Ferdinand could pass the ball. Yeah. Like even the defenders we do think of as like those hard men from the past, like they could play football.
Yeah, but I mean like
they're not like Burnley.
They're not mutually exclusive. Like you can be a hard man and still like
have
a heart attack anytime the ball's at your feet. Like there's like it's more of a like increasing role that like even. Obviously, no one's going to be like a Virgil van Dijk, but like someone who can like absolutely take someone out of the game, but then also is like an intelligent footballer with the ball at his feet. Yeah,
definitely. Okay, let's move up a little bit because we've got a 3:00 deadline, so let's kind of let's try and move up the table a little bit. I'm gonna kind of skip Crystal Palace and Burnley because I think there's not really any big signings that could really take them to the next level, because I think they need to do a bit of stuff all over the place, and they're kind of at where they need to be, like Burnley in 10th, Palace in 11th. They're kind of...
How dare you disrespect Crystal Palace's interest in Nathan Ferguson? That was the transfer story of January.
Transfer story
How
of the
dare
season.
you?
He, like, to be fair, it's okay, just can't handle this anymore. No, but I do think Palace and Burnley are kind of where they're at, where they need to be. They need to do a little bit over a longer period of time rather than like one big transfer to take them to the next level. I think Everton's one of those teams where you're getting a good creator. Obviously, they've been linked to James Rodriguez, which is crazy. But if they get him in, like good for them. Like they need to start pushing for Europa, definitely. And the next two teams I'm going to talk about, they should not be where they are, but they've been appalling. Spurs and Arsenal. Let's start with Arsenal. They've been appalling under Emery, and they've been a little bit better under Arteta, but my days.
They're an absolute banter club. Like Arsenal are just like, from when you consider these were the team that did the Invincibles. Like
it blows my mind.
Like where they are now, they're a banter club. Like
and part of me doesn't want them to get better because, like, obviously, Arsenal fan TV will get a bit dead if they start. No one wants to see happy DC.
True.
So, having said that, we're here to talk about what they need, and they've been linked to it. They've been linked with some quite big signings, like across the board. I think definitely defensively they need a centre back. That's a given because I'm sorry.
They're getting Saliba.
Saliba's coming back and he's done really well in Ligue 1. It's Ligue 1, but he's done really well. And obviously he's young. He's 19. He can develop, and he seems like a good imposing defender. He's got good passing numbers as well. So you definitely bring in Saliba. You've got Bellerin, who I think is fine. You don't need to replace him, especially with Arsenal's kind of tight funds. Bellerin's fine. They've got backup. I don't know why they loaned Cedric Suarez in, but they've got him.
Such a random signing. From Southampton. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, they've got Bellerin. They've got Chambers, who can play there, who's okay. The thing is, I would like Holding to come forward and start playing a bit more, but Holding, his injury record's not been amazing, and he's kind of been hit and miss. He just doesn't settle in the team. They do need a centre back next to Saliba. Now they've been linked with Axel Disasi from Rem, I think it is. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's a French team. They finished 6th, and they only conceded like 30 odd goals in like 28 odd games. So they've done well. Again, adjust it for the league, but. You've got to start looking at these bargains because we know what Arsenal's board are like. You know how they are with funds. So we've got to look at these transfers. He's a big guy. Apparently he's a good, he's not so much a good passer, but he brings the ball out well. He's a good dribbler as such. He's quite quick. So though him next to Saliba could be an option. Having said that, they're both, Saliba's 19, he's 21. Do you really want such a young partnership?
To be honest, with a big club like Arsenal, though, you're not going to challenge for the title in 2-3 years. You're just not
Well, they're going to lose. They're probably going to lose Aubameyang as well. Yeah, so exactly. I see it getting worse for Arsenal. But
Aubameyang's a lot older than you think he is as well.
He's like 31.
30, he's like 30, 31. So he's probably not going to be in the prime of his life by the time you're actually challenging. So to invest in a good young centre back partnership that can develop together, is probably not a bad move from them.
Yeah, definitely. And to be honest, with their current centre-backs, you need to get rid of Mustafi. Mustafi shouldn't be playing football at all. But get rid of Mustafi. But I reckon Socrates and David Luiz, they're not amazing, and you definitely don't want them playing week in, week out, as we've seen from this season. But keep them around just to kind of...
I read that they might be getting rid of David Luiz this year.
You know what? Of the 3 centre-backs, I would say David Luiz is probably the one you don't want to be getting rid of, just because I think, mistakes aside, he's probably a better defender than the other 2, and he's definitely a better passer. So I reckon David Luiz.
Old, though. It's 32.
True, but as an option, I think he's fine. Leno's been incredible. I think this season, Leno's really put out the stops. So Leno's been really good. And left back's an interesting one because they brought in Tierney, who's good from Celtic, and he has played well in the 2 games that he's played. But I don't know. He's give me reminders of Jack Wilshere with the kind of injuries he's had. He's been out almost all season. But Saka, you've got to give credit to Saka. He's come in at left back. He's a winger and he's done really, really well. I don't want to compare him to Alphonso Davies because Alphonso Davies has been on another planet this season. But he's kind of done the same kind of thing. Come in as a winger, young left back, filled in. He's done a really good job. I think left back is a position that they're okay with. Tierney, when he comes back, will be fine. You've got Saka to fill in. Then the 2 holding players. Now this is where they've been linked with Thomas Partey. He's got a 50 mil release clause. I think if you're Arsenal and you've maybe got a budget of 70 mil, yes, you don't want to be overspending on one player, but Partey would honestly, if you bring in Partey next to any of Xhaka, Torreira or Guendouzi, you're doing really well for yourself. I think you need to be bringing a player like Partey in to hold down that.
I don't understand why they need a holding player though, because Torreira is a holding player. For some reason, Emery just liked playing him further forward. But when you look at when I first saw Torreira, it was at the World Cup in 2018, and he was mad for Uruguay, just tackling all over the pitch as a holding player. If they played him in the right position for an extended period of time, I reckon he could do that job, and then they wouldn't need to splash the cash.
I'd say the reason they need Partey as well is because you've got Torreira who does add a bit of steel. I respect that. Like, he does do his bit. If you bring in Thomas Partey, he's a really good dribbler and a really good passer as well. Like, it's not just they do like I've not seen much of him. I'll admit that I haven't watched much of Atletico Madrid, but I did watch him against Liverpool in the Champions League.
He's insane.
He was so good. He was absolutely everywhere. He's a big guy, strong, he's quick, good dribbler, good passer. So he's done a really good job. So I think definitely you bring in a player like Thomas Partey, and then I think you're set for holding midfield for quite some time. The only issue I have is then if you do splash maybe 50 mil on Partey, you splash maybe 10 to 15 on Disasi to bring him in next to Saliba. What happens to the attacking midfield role? Because I think that's also somewhere where they need to bring in a player. They've been linked with James Rodriguez, which again, everyone's linked with Rodriguez because he wants to leave Real Madrid. What do you guys think of that transfer? Like, do you think they should bring in a player like Rodriguez? Do you think he'd be good for Arsenal?
They need that creativity.
In an ideal world, yes, but I can't. He's not the most important thing they should be getting right now.
True.
Especially with is Stan Kroenke going to put money into the club after coronavirus and like allow them to make all these big signings? Probably not.
Definitely.
I was going to say I don't think Stan Kroenke's put money into his own heating bill for the last 5 years. Like, he's not spending like 60 mil on James Rodriguez.
Yeah, true.
Literally.
I actually because I mentioned earlier that Jack Grealish obviously been linked with United. I've not seen any links of Jack Grealish to Arsenal. I know Jack Grealish. I'm not saying he's like the best attacking midfielder in the Prem, definitely not. But he is a good player, and I think he'd definitely be an upgrade on what Arsenal have got right now. And I think he'd be a hell of a lot cheaper than James Rodriguez. Like, maybe not on fee directly, but you'd have to pay him a lot less weekly. So if you bring in Grealish, I think he could definitely you make him the centerpiece of your attack. He could bring in play like. Because I personally don't think he needs to touch the attack. I mean, Pepe's starting to come to his own. Martinelli's been really, really good. And obviously, if you keep a hold of Aubameyang, you're fine. But if you sell Aubameyang, sell him for a big fee, get in a young striker, and then start developing that team. Because
you've got Lacazette as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, go on.
Like, as much as it might sound counterproductive, like I can't see Aubameyang having the same production levels that he had this season for the next couple, and he's very valuable now, but as soon as players start getting past that like 33, 34, he's not a Messi or Ronaldo. He's not going to keep his value like as much as he does now. So I think maybe it's time to like cash in, because they have got so many other needs, and Lacazette I think is like a plus star, at least for a club of that size.
Yeah, he's definitely a quality player. Like, he's had a bit of troubles, but what people are not like, people always slag off Lacazette, and fine, he's been off form, but Lacazette is a good player. Like, he's performed, he has performed, and he's a really hard-working player. That's one thing you maybe don't get so much from Aubameyang. He works so hard further up the pitch, pressuring, and he's quick, and he's actually not too old. He's only 27, 28, so he's fine. The problem with Lacazette is you need to put a creator behind him. Like, the games where I've seen Lacazette perform the best is when you've got Ozil performing best. Now, I don't want to talk about Ozil because it's boring. Everyone talks about Ozil. He's on stupid wages. He shouldn't be there. But the thing is, like, you put in a good creator behind him. Say you get in a Grealish. If they're lucky, they get in a James Rodriguez. I think you bring out the best in Lacazette. You sell Aubameyang, then maybe you could get in a big centre back. Maybe you could start really sorting out the rest of the team. But Arsenal,
Spurs.
We've been a bit extensive. Yeah, Spurs. Let's talk about Spurs. Spurs are starting to turn into a bit of a banter club recently.
100%. This season, oh my god, it's hilarious.
They've been awful. I don't know why they got in Mourinho.
I do think, I'm putting my money down now, they will win a trophy under Mourinho. I think they'll
such a Mourinho. Oh my god.
I think they will win at least one trophy, even if it's just the League Cup.
It could be the League Cup.
Just the League Cup.
Yeah,
just a fucking Blues fan to start talking about the League Cup.
Yeah, they're so like they're such a they need a trophy definitely, but like with Spurs, like I can see them having like the most boring season ever, like finishing in like sixth, doing absolutely nothing in the Champions League. Well, not Champions League, they're not gonna make Champions League. Doing nothing in the Europa League, and like just winning the League Cup, and then you'll never hear the end of it from Spurs fans. But like. But yeah, Mourinho could win them a trophy, but Mourinho's not the manager they need right now. You need a guy, you need a Pochettino to be honest, but they've lost him. But I feel he took them as far as he could have. I think you need a guy who's gonna start taking them to the next level. Like, you need to start dipping into Germany, looking at their managers. They, like, your Nagelsmann, your Peter Bosch, your, like, the guys who are really, like, who are making strides with the German teams. Because right now, Mourinho is not a progressive thinking manager. Like, he gets in the big plays, he gets the results in. Like, I haven't seen enough of him bringing through young players. And that's what Spurs need right now. Their squad is aging out a little bit.
The thing I like about Mourinho,
they're stuck with Mourinho, though.
Yeah, true. That is the issue.
What were you going to say?
People might disagree, but I think, like, say what you like about Mourinho, but he's a winner.
Oh,
like,
yeah, definitely.
He's a winner.
Like, I'll never take that away from him, because
if you can have him in for, you know, like, he's
3 years.
Yeah. If you can have him for 3 years and instill that winning culture, because, like, that's Spurs' big problem, I think, at the minute, is they just lack, like, that killer instinct and, like, the culture that you need to win a league, to win a trophy. Like, if you can instill that in the players with Mourinho, and then maybe move on to a more tactically adept manager.
The only problem is Spurs won't buy anyone. They basically have no money. It'll be like swap deals and stuff. So is Mourinho going to get the players he needs to win a trophy and instill that winning mentality?
Spurs have kind of got problems all over the pitch, because, like, Lloris needs to go. He's been on the decline for quite some time now. I don't like Lloris, and he makes way too many mistakes. Alex is shaking his head. I don't know if he's agreeing with me.
I love Lloris. I just like, he's like the David Luiz of keepers, in that, like, he'll do something just incredible and then make the stupidest mistake. But, like, I really still rate Lloris. I would like. But a few years ago, I thought he was the best keeper in the Prem, even above De Gea.
I don't think Lloris is a priority to get rid of.
No, he's not. But I think they would need to replace him down the line. I think centre back is where they need to start looking into bringing in maybe one big centre back, because Vertonghen and Alderweireld are, like, they're aging out, and like, Alderweireld's, like, injury record is just not good at all. So, like, you need to start replacing those guys. And I know Tanganga's coming through this season, but you're not going to expect him to be, like, the focal point going forward. You need to give him a couple of seasons to settle. So they need to start talking about that. You need to start looking at fullbacks, because Ben Davies, no. Sergio Aurier, no. You need to bring in new fullbacks. Maybe if you switch to a wing-back role and then maybe start pushing Sessegnon a bit more into the wing-back position, then fine. But you need they need a new right-back, definitely a new right wing-back. Because I think they shouldn't have sold Walker and Trippier that quickly, like, just as they were playing so well. Like, the thing is, Walker was kind of at his peak when he went to City, and then took another level up, and then Trippier has been really good this season at Atletico Madrid, actually. Like, from what I've seen, his numbers have been really good. And the thing is, he should have stayed, because Aurier's rubbish. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't like Sergio Aurier. He's a fun player to watch, in that he's absolutely mental, but he's not what Spurs need going forward. In midfield, I think they probably need to renew Lo Celso, because Lo Celso has probably been their only decent player so far. I don't know why Winks gets so, like, Winks is fine, but I don't know why he gets so much hype. He's okay. For everyone who, because I know Winks gets way too much hype. Like, he's okay, he's fine, but you need to maybe get in a DM next to him, or maybe get an attacking player and play Lo Celso further back. People need to stop, but people also need to stop slagging off Ndombele. I see that a lot. Ndombele's had quite a few injuries, and when he has played, he's been decent. But I feel like, and also he's had a bit of a confidence hit as well. He has come from France. Mourinho's kind of singled him out as, like, his player to hate. So, like, it's kind of like Ndombele.
To be fair, I think Mourinho is trying to get him to. He did those personalised sessions with him, broke coronavirus lockdown just to meet with Ndombele and, like, work with him to train. So I think Mourinho sees him as a key part, but he wasn't really on form in those matches that he played. There's that clip of where he just gets run past and you can He slowly jogging back, and they end up going on and, I think, scoring. He needs to step up a level. Like, how much did they buy him for? Like,
I want to say
It's like 55 million.
Was it 50?
Something.
Yeah, 50.
50.
It was
I
in the
thought it was like 40 million.
50s.
Jesus.
Yeah, but he was an expensive player. There's no doubt about that. But he has shown quality. I'm not just saying Liga, and I'm just going to forget Liga.
Yeah.
But he has shown quality in the Champions League. So he's a player who, and to be fair, he's got time to develop. He's only 22. He's got time. So midfield, I'm not too worried. Now, I hear a lot of things about Spurs talking about needing to replace Kane because of his injury record and needing to maybe get in someone different, or maybe getting at least a backup. They definitely need a backup for Kane because he does get injured a lot. So I feel like they do too much of a reshuffle of the team when Kane is injured, for example. Like you've usually got Son playing on one wing, they brought in Bergwijn who's playing on the other wing, then Kane gets injured, then you bring Son into striker, then you kind of bring in Lucas Moura and all sorts. I think personally, you bring in a guy who can back up Kane, you keep Son and Bergwijn where they are, Lucas Moura as a backup to those two wingers, and then you've got Kane doing his thing, and you get in a young striker, maybe like a really young striker who backs him up. Maybe you give Troy Parrott some more game time. I've heard good things about him. I don't know much about him, I can't lie, but you give him a bit of game time. But yeah, have you guys got any more thoughts on Spurs before we jump quickly?
Yeah, Harry Kane, I don't know why he always seems to play too deep. Why isn't he in the penalty box? He always drops back to the halfway line.
Yeah, he does.
Sprays balls forward, but you want Harry Kane really up the pitch, scoring goals. Yeah, so they need to change their strategy. If they can get Dele Alli working again off him, like replicate that when Dele Alli first came through, because they were mad together. But otherwise, what's the point of Kane if you just drop him back?
True. Or if you get in a really good, I think to be honest, if you get Dele Alli back on form, you got Lo Celso, who is a good creative talent. You can tell Kane, just stay forward, get the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's move up quickly because I know we do need to talk about mainly Chelsea, Leicester, and United. I think just because of time, we won't talk about Liverpool and City. They're fine. Let them do their thing, whatever. And let them do their thing. They don't need to be touched, really. So we'll talk about Leicester. Suki, start us off with Leicester. What do they need to be pushing?
So obviously Leicester this season have kind of overperformed compared to the last couple of seasons. I think the key thing is they need to do what they didn't do in the 2016-17 season, because after they won the league, I don't really think they brought in the right players to kind of push for the title again, which is kind of what saw them fell off. But then again, under Brendan Rodgers now, they're kind of making another push. And I think next year as well, they should definitely try and kind of go far in the Champions League as well as push for the title.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, I feel having had such a successful season, I reckon there's quite a few departures that they might see. For example, Chilwell, I think, has been linked with Chelsea and other big clubs as well. I reckon he would probably go, so they definitely need someone to replace him. I think they've been linked with Alex Telles from, I don't know how to pronounce it, I think it's Alex Telles from Porto. Yeah. And a couple other players. I think Olympiacos left back, I really can't say his name, it's Simikas or something like that. But yeah, a couple left backs. So they probably need someone to replace Chilwell. And then in the centre back department, they've got Soyuncu, who's obviously been pretty good this season. But their other Wes Morgan is obviously getting on a bit. So they probably need to kind of reinforce that position. Maybe a Lewis Dunk. I don't know. Do you guys have any other suggestions? Who else
they should try and keep Maddison.
Yeah, definitely.
They can keep Maddison. If they're going to sell one player, sell Chilwell, but just keep the rest of them.
Yeah, they need to keep a hold of their team because it's very young. It's very good.
So talented.
Yeah.
They're going to need to start coming up with a Jamie Vardy alternative though, because he's
hitting 33. That's what I was going to say. He needs to. Yeah. Also, I think he's quite inconsistent as well.
I think going forward, Leicester doing quite midfield. They need to not let go of any of those three midfielders because Tielemans, Maddison, and Ndidi. Ndidi's got the best defensive numbers in the Prem for a defensive midfielder. You've got Tielemans and Maddison, amazing creative players, and obviously really good dribblers. You don't want to lose those three. I think also left wing Harvey Barnes is coming to his own this season. Harvey Barnes is definitely good.
He's an ex-Baggage player. He was levels above the championship, man. I remember
Harvey Barnes, honestly.
There was a game against Sheffield Wednesday last season when he was on loan against us and we were 2-1 down. He came on like 80th minute, and we've won the game 3-2. Like, he's just incredible. He's such an X factor. Like, his pace, vision, his final product.
Such a good dribbler. He's really good on the ball as well.
Yeah.
He's
honestly,
as well, for such a young player as well. Like, he's so calm and collected, and like the loan at Baggies did him so much because he got
definitely.
that time.
He's been so good at Leicester, and to be honest, I'm a big advocate for taking Barnes to the Euros. Like, I'm a big advocate.
Euros.
Yeah, I really want Barnes to get to Euros. Maybe we'll talk about Euros at a later episode, but I think but I'm a big advocate for Barnes. But yeah, Barnes doesn't need to be touched. I think they probably need a right winger because I don't like Ayoze Perez, and I think he's fine. But I think it's better to have him as the guy who can fill in left wing striker and right wing rather than have him as your main right winger. I think you probably need to step him up a level and get in a Vardy replacement, or maybe a guy who can kind of slowly be phased in to replace Vardy. So that's kind of Leicester, definitely. Let's talk about Chelsea, because obviously we mentioned them at the start with the big Timo Werner signing. What do you think, Suki? So, as for Chelsea?
So for Chelsea, I think obviously next year with the signings of like Hakim Ziyech as well as Werner, they're clearly going for like, a title push. Like, those are two very big signings, and I think in terms of what they still need, they probably need like a big centre back to kind of like lead the team. Like, obviously they've been linked with Koulibaly, and I think that would be just like such a class signing. Like, imagine a defense with like Rudiger and Koulibaly. It's just like
definitely.
So I think that would be an important thing to like go for. They could also always get back Ake, because you know how Chelsea love getting players that they always like used to have before, just bringing them back. So they could go in for Ake again as centre back. And I think in midfield they're thinking about a couple of swaps. Like, for example, I think they're discussing like a swap with Juventus, like swapping Jorginho for like Pjanic, which.
What is Sarri's obsession with Jorginho? Like, seriously.
I don't know.
I love him so much.
I think once Ziyech comes into that midfield, I think what you do then is, as Chelsea, I think you keep Kante, you keep Kovacic. You don't touch those two. They've been really good this season. Kante's great. Kovacic's been really good this season. You maybe keep them as your holding players. Obviously, Kovacic dribbles. You got Kante to do a bunch of the defensive work. You bring in maybe Ziyech on the right, Mason Mount down the middle, and on the left, you can then start playing Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi. You can rotate them too. You've got options there. I'd say you probably start Pulisic and have Hudson-Odoi as an option for both wingers. I think, yes, they do need a left back. Emerson definitely needs to be upgraded. Marcos Alonso doesn't work in a 4 at the back system. So Chilwell's a great option. I've heard Chelsea being linked to Telles as well. That's an interesting one. He's always consistently had really, really good defensive and attacking numbers. Because Porto play 3 at the back as well, so he's really good going forward, really good going back. And the thing is, with Telles, you get in a player like Telles, or you even get in Chilwell, like you mentioned, you're kind of sorted for left back for quite some time. They're both fairly young. Like, Telles is kind of in his prime, but Chilwell's young. They do need a centre back. I completely agree with that. I think someone to partner Tomori. Like, Rudiger is okay, but he needs to maybe, like, his injury record is just not incredible. And I think you're probably getting a guy to partner Tomori. And one thing that we didn't mention, because obviously they brought in their striker, we talked about their midfield defence, they need a new keeper. Because Kepa has been absolutely disgraceful. I saw a stat in the Champions League that Kepa has a 50% save percentage in the Champions League. 50%. It's genuinely a flip of a coin whether he's going to save a shot or not. That's horrific for a team. So, and Kepa, I don't know if did you guys watch the Ajax game where there was one shot which went off the post, bounced off his face and went in? That was hilarious. But Kepa's, honestly, he needs to step up his game, or they need to get in a new keeper. I've heard them linked with Onana, who's been really, really good for a long time, and he's only 24, which is like, he's basically a baby in keeper years. So, so Onana definitely.
From the looks of it as well, it looks like Roman Abramovich has got some of his passion back, because they splashed some cash. Ziyech, now Werner, and supposedly they're going to get Chilwell. That's going to be quite a lot of money. So it looks like he's back invested into the club, because they haven't really spent that big in the past few seasons.
Yeah, and they're definitely he's backing kind of Lampard's vision, because these aren't old players at all. Like Werner's only 25, Ziyech's only like 26, and Chilwell's like Chilwell's even younger, like 23 or something. So these guys, like, he's really backing Lampard's vision, and he should entirely. Like Lampard, I don't like Chelsea, but whatever. I have to give Lampard credit, because like what he's done this season, Chelsea there have been a lot of games where they've been really enjoyable to watch. He's got all these young players playing really well, and he's doing it sensibly as well. He hasn't just chucked a bunch of youngsters and like go play football. He's rotated them decently. He's like worked a season with Mason Mount before as well, so he's done really well to bring them to where they are. And like, I really rate what Lampard's doing. So I can't speak.
The only problem with Chelsea though is, are they going to have Champions League football next season? Because Man United getting Pogba back, they were on form. Bruno Fernandes, like Manchester United could definitely overtake them.
Let's talk about that now that you brought. Oh, did you want to say something about Chelsea?
Yeah, just quickly about Chelsea. Like, as much as like obviously we praise bringing younger players in, like at times they have looked like they lacked a bit of experience in the side. Sorry,
that is true.
Like a couple of like stupid mistakes, and I think when you take Kante out of that side, I think maybe Rudiger's the most experienced player like on that team. So maybe I'd like to see them bring in a few like veterans of the Premier League, like not even particularly players to start, like more depth players that can be like good voices in the locker room, because they have looked like shaky at times.
Especially in that Champions League game against Bayern, they looked very inexperienced. They were completely outplayed, and they looked like, it was like, they always use this term in football, men against boys, but that was men against boys. Like those, like Mason Mount made a bunch of like crazy decisions. I'm shocked that Ross Barkley still starts, but we'll look past it. Ross Barkley like did some crazy things that game, and you could tell, like Mason Mount, there's been a lot of games where you can tell he's inexperienced. Like a lot of people give Mason Mount hate because they're like, oh, he's not playing well. He's not playing well not because he's a bad player, but he's a young player. He's never going to be like the pinnacle of it, like consistency, is he? He's got to develop, and he has been good in some games. But he was really good in that game against Everton that I mentioned earlier. So Aidan, you gave us a nice transition into United. So let's talk about United. What did they need? There's one big thing that I know, like
Jadon Sancho.
Everyone wants to mention.
Exactly. I mean,
Jadon Sancho. Definitely, if they get in Jadon Sancho, United look quite dangerous going forward. I think, like, if you've got a midfield of say Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, and either McTominay or Fred, honestly, you can play either one of them, and you've got like Rashford, Martial, and Sancho. Like that's quite a scary prospect going forward. And also, they're all generally quite a young team as well. So like the front three definitely quite young. Fernandes is not that old. Pogba is getting on. He's reaching his prime years, and obviously McTominay is quite young. I think United probably look to invest in a midfielder down the line, but I see a lot of Jack Grealish links, like I've mentioned a lot. They don't need him now. Like, you need him as the creator, but you've got in Bruno Fernandes, who's like an absolute like compared to Jack Grealish, he's miles away. So so to be honest, if United getting someone like, I know they've been linked with Partey as well. If they get in a player of that quality, maybe to play next to Pogba and Fernandes, then fine. They do really well for themselves. Go on.
I can only really see them, to be honest, spending big money on Jadon Sancho, and then getting in players like, they're linked with Bellingham from Birmingham. Like, he obviously wouldn't start now. He's like 17 or something.
Just
it's going to be I don't see Man United buying Sancho and then going for another big player, especially because I've read that the reason they didn't go after Werner was because they said we won't have the money unless we sell Pogba. So it's like, I think they'll only get Sancho, and that'll be it in terms of big players.
Jude Bellingham, he plays for Birmingham. He's been playing like a load of games for Birmingham City this year. He's like 17. I think he's the captain of the England under-18s team. He's electric, man. Like,
I've not actually watched much of Bellingham, so
I mean, I can't blame
Borussia Dortmund one there.
For real.
He's been linked to quite a lot. He's had a lot of hype in the media. So,
like, he's so raw at the minute. Like, you can just see it. But like, if he puts it together, he could be something really, really special.
You've seen him play. What kind of midfielder would you say is like? Is he like a creator, ball progressor? Like what does he do best?
The thing is, he's moved around a bit. Like I think they're still trying to find a bit of a role because he is so raw.
Yeah, definitely.
But he's not like amazing defensively. They've sort of played him in they've played him a bit winger. They've played him a little bit up front. He's played a little bit holding. He's like really good on the ball, really athletic, great with the ball at his feet, like good passer.
So like definitely a box to box kind of guy.
I could maybe see him in a bit of that role, but he's just like raw potential at the minute.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
If you can get a good manager onto him and develop him, then he'll be like something.
So not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer
then. You know what's interesting? Like I'm not gonna say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is like the greatest manager ever. He's okay. I'll say he's okay. He's not that good. Like he gets a lot of hype. He's okay. I don't know if you guys watch Stephen Howson on YouTube. Like he talks mainly about United, but he's crazy about Solskjaer, which like to an extent, like it blows my mind.
Just makes him crazy then.
Yeah. So, he's crazy.
No. This is the guy, isn't it? He said that Mourinho was recreating into 2010 with his Man U squad.
I'm not sure it could be. I don't know if he said that. But
I think it's this guy.
Like I watch his videos mostly because he does have he has his contacts, so sometimes you get a bit more information than you do usually. But like with regards to his opinion as such, the thing with Stephen Howson is like I love his passion. Like you gotta love his passion, but he like. The fact that he's like, oh yeah, Ollie's a tactical genius for beating big teams. I'm not convinced by that because I feel like him beating big teams, like he's got to realize that that's not just Ollie. Like he's got good players at his disposal. And the thing is,
without Pogba, Solskjaer has one way of playing with Manchester United without Pogba, and that's counter-attack.
Exactly.
And that works against the big clubs. It doesn't work against the 15 other teams in the league. So.
That's the reason he struggled against the small teams. And then they brought in Bruno Fernandes and everyone's like, oh, all of a sudden, Ollie has all the pieces to work with. No, he doesn't. He's got Rashford, who's playing really well. Martial is playing really well. And Bruno Fernandes, who apparently can unlock anything. Like, so you have to give the play. Like, I feel like sometimes the players don't get enough credit when it comes to United just because like everyone's on the Solskjaer hype train, mainly the United fans. But I feel like you've got to understand that he has got like people do slag off United, but he's got a good bunch of players at his disposal so far. Like Rashford's been like he's really stepped up a level this season. Like I love Rashford. Everyone hates on me for it, but I love Rashford. I'm not saying he's like the greatest young player or whatever, but he's played really well this season. 14 goals. He's done
Rashford from the left is really good.
Yeah,
Rashford up top as a striker.
I completely agree. Rashford should not be a striker. Like I actually did. I did a bit of a calculation a while back. I was trying to prove a point. I was massively mistaken. But I was.
Go Man U fan.
Yeah, I was trying to prove a point that Rashford's shot accuracy has gone up this season. It's actually I hate to say
his
this.
Final product.
Yeah, his efficiency. So like basically, so how many like shots are on target, or how many goals he scored for the shots he's taken, is 16%, which is like disgracefully bad.
Yeah.
But like you've got to give him credit for what he does. He's really good going forward. Obviously, like I'd imagine, like he's not a fun player to play against because he's like quite big, quite fast. Like he does a really good job, and like Rashford's fine. Martial, like when he's played, has been absolutely class. Like obviously, have you guys seen his goal against Watford? Like you don't see many players pull off things like that, where he does the little.
To be fair, I see Rashford pull it off 16% of the time.
Yeah, you got me there. But yeah, that's the thing. So, any more like final thoughts, guys? Like before we kind of wrap up for today, with regards to any of the teams we talked about, anything you want to say in general?
Football's lost a legend in the last day. And the football community must be reeling. I'm waiting on Messi and Ronaldo's messages of support for fucking
Chris.
Oh my god!
I think next season, if United get Sancho and Chelsea get Chilwell, then the top four is pretty much sealed, done deal for next season.
That's a bold claim. That's a
Liverpool,
bold claim.
City, United, and Chelsea.
Keep the play, bro.
I just can't see like any other team because they'll all be like a level above in terms of players, like solid all over the pitch. If they do the business in the transfer market.
It depends. It honestly depends on the transfer market, and like we haven't had much time to talk about Wolves or Sheffield, but you never know. Wolves could could start making a push. You never know, because I hear a lot of support for Wolves trying to make that push for the top four.
I don't see Wolves getting top four.
We won't go into that, but thank you guys so much for joining me today. It's been really good.
No
Quickly for the audience, I don't know how we've probably not got the biggest audience base right now, but whoever's watching, thank you for watching us. Drop in the description, or obviously we're all going to post this on our social medias and everything. Let us know what you want us to talk about for
Make
next
sure
week.
You buy Steve Bruce's book.
Buy Steve Bruce's book. I'll put a link in the description. Thank you guys. Thanks everyone for watching.
All right.
See ya.